What's going on, my There's Hope family? Welcome back to the channel. Excited about this video. Want to jump right into it. So Michelle Obama recently did an interview with a podcaster, and I thought it was phenomenal in a lot of ways because she was talking to young women, younger women, just pouring out wisdom, sharing her insight on friendship, on dating, on social media. I thought it was so impactful, but it also brought some things to mind for me that I wanted to talk about. So that's what this video today is going to be about. So I'm going to talk about what she talked about. I'm going to examine it, share what I appreciated about it, share what I think was missing, and explain why I believe God has always had great things in mind for women, even though there's been this unfortunate dropping of the ball by men as a whole that has distorted that view. But today I want to share some framework, share some perspectives that I believe will be helpful and speak well of that. So let's get right into it. All right. So the first thing I thought was really powerful that she shared on was friendship. I often say this, that friendship is like something that when it's done right and done well, it's literally something that you don't even know how to properly pray for, because it's like family, but an extension to your life that makes you better. And so this is what she says about women and friendship.
One of the things that I say to my girls and to young girls, it's like, don't be afraid to make friends. Be open, stay open, try on new people and let them in, because you're strong enough to deal with somebody who might disappoint you, because sometimes people disappoint you. And if they disappoint you in a way that's dangerous, let them out quickly.
What I think the best part about what she shared that's so relatable is that we're strong enough, for one, that we should make friends, and then two, that we're strong enough to be able to handle it if someone was to disappoint us. But she also made the point that, hey, if they do something that's hurtful and outright damaging, get out quick, which is something I totally agree with. The next thing she was talking about was social media. We are in the age, they call it a social media age, and it's interesting to say the least. But she shares this about social media.
What I want to tell people, young women, is get off the phone. I really do. It's like, it's a habit. It's not a need. And I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm just saying you've got to get off of the phone and start investing in your in real life stuff. I am hoping, Alex, that the learning curve is going to be quick. We're starting to get the statistics in. The rise in depression is directly connected and linked to the creation and rise of social media. And I'm hoping that the society, parents will start understanding that this isn't just a free-for-all thing. There are great things about it. We have to start regulating. My message is the old school message of no one is perfect. That stuff isn't real. No one is living these great lives. It's just, I know that because I live a really great life, and it's not always perfect.
As you can see, she shares that, get away from the phone, essentially. Not get rid of it, but get away from it and get into reality, which is something I totally agree with. There's a lot of negativity that's directly connected to social media intake, comparison, and things of that nature. So I'm rocking with the wisdom she's sharing on this. The next thing she talks about is dating. Now, I do think this is one of those things that's kind of like subjective to a certain degree, because what works for someone may not work for another. But she shares this about dating.
So, what do I tell a lot of young girls? Dating different people helped me to see the difference in who Barack was when he showed up. I don't, if he had been the first person I dated because I just didn't date, I might have taken that for granted. I might have thought, yeah, well, these are buddy vibes, right? I had learned enough to know this is different in an important way.
Now, what I like about this is she shared that she dated in a way that helped her. So it wasn't that she just dated. Obviously, it sounds like she was dating for a purpose, but those things didn't work out, right? But what she learned from her dating experience prepared her for her husband and allowed her to appreciate him and be able to tell the difference in how he was versus how other men are. So I think in the grand scheme, she's saying date purposefully and be discerning in who and why you're dating so that, you can have a favorable outcome. Now, as I said, I appreciated this wisdom that she shared, the intentionality to pour into young women, because I'm really big on older women pouring into younger women and older men, for my sake, pouring into younger men like myself and others. But I thought there were some things that was missing, specifically one thing, or at least it wasn't prioritized. Let me put it like, because I don't know. But what was missing was the foundation of a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Listen, I don't care how much wisdom is shared, how much knowledge we gain, how much understanding we have. Apart from having a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, it all, it all collapsed. It's like it really profits us nothing to gain all of that and not be right with God. So that's why I wanted to really share this and lean into this part, because wisdom without God, it can help us. It can still help us cope, but wisdom with God is what, helps us become all that we're supposed to become. And because I know she's wanting younger women to become not just the best version of themselves, but who God created and gifted and transformed them to be, that's why a relationship is necessary. That's a relationship with God is necessary. And I believe God has always had women in mind, long before podcasts, long before platforms, long before influencers. God had established a model for women's development. And oftentimes, I do want to plug this in. I've learned so much from women, and I want to be very clear. A lot of things, wonderful things about who I am today is because of what I've learned from women, like my mother, my sisters, my friends, and that I've learned from dating. So I just want to, plug that in because I think it's important to say that God has always had the best in mind for women. And there are things that even we as men can learn from women, right? But I want to close out with this. This is why I believe there's hope for women today and for the future. Because, it's hope not because culture finally has started to see them, right? It's not because of that, but it's because God has always had them in mind. God has always had protection of the woman in mind, provision of the woman in mind, the woman's development. He's always had that in mind, their purity, their essence, their romance, and ultimately, he's always had their salvation in mind. And I think with those key components, that's why there's hope, because there's hope in God, and because God has the best intentions and the best desires for women in mind. I love that Michelle Obama shared, her wisdom and is intentionally pouring into younger women, right? Talking to them about friendship, talking to them about careers, talking to them about dating, talking to them about, social media versus reality. However, to not include God is where it all collapses. because, as I said before, wisdom will help women cope, right? It can help women cope. But without God, it's, you know, it doesn't help them become, so that's why it's important to have wisdom with a relationship with God. It was a great interview. It was on Call Her Daddy. I believe that's the name of the podcast. Go check it out. But I just was stirred up because it brought this part to mind to me about how God has always had the best in mind for women. Even when culture fails, when men fail, when society fails, God has their best in mind. I hope you was able to get something from it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Stand on it, be strong.